What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network. He is Andrew Destin. I am Noah Hiles. We are your Pittsburgh Pirates beat reporters for the Post-Gazette. It's officially official. The old man's gone, Andrew. No, he's not gone. He's still writing columns. But we take over on the beat this week. Andrew's in D.C., where he'll have the coverage for the National Series. I'm back here in Pittsburgh, where I'll have some other stories leading up to the home opener. Before we get started, buddy, I mean, how you doing? How you feeling?
Listen, it's April Fool's Day. I know, but it feels good, man. I mean, I'm certainly going to miss being around Jason as much as I was last year. I'm very spoiled that I'll get to be around you as much as I will this year, but it feels good, man. And with it being April 1st, that being the line of demarcation of when we all start these new roles, there is that element of the fear of April Fool's Day, but this is for real, guys. Everybody tuning in on the podcast, and it's very exciting, very enjoyable to be down here.
It feels crazy because, I mean, the first show we ever did, both of us, on this YouTube channel was when we were on our college beats talking college football about Penn State and Pitt. And now we're working together. So we'll be taking over the Pirates beat. We'll have a whole bunch of content on this channel. And this specific show and everything else is brought to us by Northshore Tavern. Andrew, go ahead and talk a little bit about Northshore Tavern.
Yeah, man, if you love baseball, I mean, you'll love the Northshore Tavern. Interiors, wall-to-wall with pirate stuff. They got appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and a seafood on a sizzling lava stone. They're open every day, Northshore Tavern, right across from PNC Park. It's Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Can't say enough good things about Northshore Tavern. You guys got to stop by there before and after any Pirates game. So we appreciate them, and we appreciate this opportunity to talk about the Buccos after a heck of a start to the season, which I don't know about I don't mean to speak for you, but I'm not sure I expected a 4-0 sweep of the Marlins coming out of the gates there.
4-0 sweep is impressive enough, but when you consider the context in which it came through as well, I mean, they really only received one decent start from their rotation so far, but the bats have been working, the bullpen's been great. We're going to do a good, bad, and ugly, as people who watch this channel know. That's like my bread and butter. So we'll get right into it. Andrew, what's been your good through four games?
Yeah, for me, the good is the plate. It's the patience. And I know there are a lot of people on here who want to chastise, who want to lambast Andy Haines, the hitting coach for last year, saying that the Pirates took too many pitches, had a lot of called strikeouts. They were top 10 in the league in strikeouts. That patient approach, albeit we're in a very small sample size. Let's pump the brakes a little. But through 4 games, there's only one team that's drawn more walks than them in Major League Baseball, and that's the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that's the Dodgers having 2 more games, having played that Korea series against the Padres. And not only is it, the Pirates are taking walks, I imagine they're striking out a lot. Yeah, they're still striking out. They've had 48 strikeouts in 4 games. That's 12 a game. And obviously, that number's inflated by going up against Jesus Luzardo the first game. But wait, it doesn't end there. Aside from the Padres and Dodgers, nobody in baseball has more hits than the Pirates. So, yes, they are drawing walks just like last year, but they're putting the ball in play. They're getting on base. They're scoring runs. The approach is working so far, and it's certainly going to be interesting to talk to some of these guys about why that approach is working relative to last year, where it was a lot of called strikeouts. And I know a lot of you Pirates fans don't like it when Jack Sawinski and these guys are keeping the bat on the shoulders.
Yeah, and to build upon your point, Andrew, I think the patience has really shown late in the game, right? I mean, the timely hitting for this team has been incredible. It feels like a bulk of their runs this season have come, the second time through the order. And that's, I think, a real test on how your lineup looks is, what are they learning from their first at bat? And if you're able to go deeper into counts and get better contact your second time through, your third time through, even if it's against a different pitcher, that you're settling in and you're prepared, that's a really good sign. And the late timely hitting, be it, late game home runs or just suicide squeezes or anything in between, it's all been very clutch so far. My good is going to be on the other side of things, though. It's the bullpen. I think that's been the biggest story of the season so far, because the biggest question mark was this team starting pitching. And quite frankly, Andrew, it has not been good. 19 and 2/3 innings so far from the starters in 4 games. They've allowed 15 runs, 14 of them earned runs. I believe only 2 starters made it to the 5th inning so far, or made it through the 5th inning, right? Yeah, Jones and Mitch got past that. But I mean, and even Mitch wasn't himself. He was okay, but not anything special. Jared Jones was like the calling card of that group. But I mean, Bailey Falter was bad. We're going to talk more about him. And Martin Perez was okay. And it's not like you expect these guys to be Cy Young winners in their first start. I mean, it's still March, but the bullpen has been there to pick up the slack. 20 and a third innings of combined work where they've allowed just 2 earned runs, 2 runs total. And one of those 2 runs allowed was in garbage time. It was Josh Fleming allowed 1 more run in the bottom of the 9th in a game that was well in hand. So really only 1 costly run, which came ironically enough from the best arm in the pen, David Bednar. But I mean, he was still able to kind of hold it down and keep the team in a position to at least go to extra innings and win, which is my final, point I want to make about the bullpen. I mean, these are a lot of high leverage innings, Andrew. 4 of these innings of work that they've logged are in extras, and they have yet to allow a run in 4 innings of extra inning baseball. And that's impressive anytime, but it's even more impressive, in my opinion, when you consider the fact that, in today's game of baseball, a runner starts on second base. So that's 4 for 4 in inherited runner situations. And you look at the guys they've had on the mound for these situations, it's not Chapman and Bednar in extra innings. It's Luis Ortiz, it's Jose Hernandez, it's who was it, Ryder Ryan yesterday, or Chris Stratton, or not Chris Stratton, Hunter Stratton, excuse me.
Common mistake.
Pirate right there. Yeah. So it's been the guys that you kind of viewed as a question mark heading into the year. And so that's a good thing. I know we're super early. Every element of this team's going to have its ups and downs. The bullpen, there's going to be a couple weeks where it's not reliable. But for the most part, it has been really, really good so far, and that's exactly what this team has needed. So we'll transition now to the bad. Andrew, what has been your bad so far?
Yeah, for me, the only thing that really stands out, and I think, if there's anything that you look at for overreactions early in the year, it's probably this stat that I'll bring up, is just that the defense hasn't been great. And there's been a lot of uncharacteristic plays in the field. Bryan Hayes with a couple of errors, Jared Triolo bobbling the ball on that in opening day, trying to turn 2 on a flip from Oneil Cruz. The list goes on beyond that, but I think the only thing you would look at and say, and Mitch Keller trying to turn a double play ball on a comebacker. My takeaway on all that is that all of these things are the kind of lapses you expect to see early in a season. I think the only comment you would make is that they're from guys that you wouldn't expect to see those kinds of mistakes from, which probably bodes well for the Pirates moving forward, because you say, hey, Bryan Hayes is a guy who's going to compete for a platinum glove this year, won his first gold glove last year. Don't think you need to worry about him. But all told, I think on the greater issue, defense is certainly still a big conversation point for this Pirates team, because they went out and got a guy like Michael A. Taylor to play center field. He's a gold glove center fielder. So that's more something to monitor than anything. But the defense hasn't been spectacular so far. I think the Pirates need it to at least be above average. It's just funny that the guys we're talking about are probably the ones you're least concerned about.
Right. Yeah. Triolo and Hayes, it's like those are the guys that you don't have any worries for. So, I mean, yeah, that's why I think it's fair to put it in the bad, because it's like, we're not mad. We're just disappointed type thing. It's like, everyone knows that these guys can and will do better. My bad is Andrew McCutchen so far. He's kind of been really the only weak bat in this Pirates lineup, where if you go through the 4 games of work, you can't really find one good thing he's done. I mean, he's 0 for 9. He has 1 run batted in. And to me, the biggest thing with him is he's leaving a lot of guys on base. He struck out 5 times. He's only walked twice. And I mean, this is a guy that they keep around for his ability to draw walks, his ability to come up with timely hits, and especially against left-handed pitching. And if he's 0 for 9 against, basically all left-handed pitching. I know that the Marlins have used their bullpen a lot in that series too, and he saw some righties, but I'm not sitting here writing off Andrew McCutchen. Obviously, he should continue getting at bats and being the team's starting designated hitter. But I just think this is also a product of him not having a ton of work under his belt in spring. He didn't play a lot, which is common for vets. He's just going to need a little bit more to get going. And yeah, he's had a slow start, so that would be my bad. We'll transition it over now to ugly, where we can talk about the true poor performance that most of Pirates fandom would like us to talk about, and I'll let you have that one, Andrew.
Who are we talking about? No, I'm kind of confused here. You're setting me up for somebody. I'm a little lost.
It's me. It's me and my writing. I need to be better. No.
In all seriousness, Bailey Falter. Listen, yeah. I know pitching, starting rotation, no, you brought it up earlier. It's something that hasn't really been good for the Pirates in general, but Bailey Falter has been, the anomaly to the rule in the sense that he's probably been the worst of these guys through 4 games. I know a lot of people are upset that he got a starting rotation spot in the first place, because if this is a meritocracy and we're basing it off of spring training results, which personally I'm not in the camp of doing, I understand the approach by the Pirates and manager Derek Shelton of taking the whole body of work. The problem is that doesn't really apply to Bailey Falter, because the whole body of work doesn't exactly support his cause. It's been a rough start for him. Gives up 2 long balls in the first start. Haven't liked what I've seen from Falter. Didn't really like what I saw from him in spring training. You have to wonder how many more turns does he get in the rotation before the Pirates make a move. And I know it's early, but it's not exactly like he lit the world on fire last year in a few starts for the Pirates.
And what's funny is all of the guys that he beat out for that spot in the rotation have looked pretty good. Be it in the majors, you've got Luis Ortiz throwing shutout innings in relief, in high leverage situations. And you've got 2 guys in the minor leagues who have looked really, really good. The only guy who really hasn't outperformed Bailey Falter that was in the mix for that competition for that rotation spot was Ronzi Contreras. And it's because he's had a kid and wasn't able to pitch recently. But I'm going to, augment our ugly category, and I'm going to shift it into maybe nasty or gross. And if we're talking nasty or gross, it is the young arms in this organization. They have been absolutely filthy over the weekend. I mean, I was there to see Paul Skeens on Saturday and Quinn Priester on Sunday. Both of those guys looked really, really good. And it's to no one's surprise that Paul Skeens looks solid. I think that most people understand why he had to start the year in AAA. I also think that most people understand the reality that this guy is easily one of the top 5 starting pitchers in this organization. And the faster he gets up to the major leagues, the better. He looked incredible. And Quinn Priester is a guy who, obviously, I understand why some people have their doubts on him. You have to question if the velocity and the stuff is big league starter quality. But and he didn't do anything amazing over the spring, but what I saw from him Sunday was really impressive. I mean, 9 strikeouts with 4 different pitches. He was getting guys swinging, looking. I mean, a lot of whiffs for someone like him and I feel like that's a little bit of a rarity. And the velocity was up. I mean, I think people would sign up for Quinn Priester throwing his fastball 96. It's the problem is when it's coming in at 91, 92. And the other stuff had some nice velo as well. And then, of course, those are the 2 minor league guys. The headliner of the group so far, just because of the level he did it on, was Jared Jones. Just absolutely dominated in his first outing. And that's got to be a guy that fans are super excited about right now. But all 3 of these guys, I think it's encouraging to see them have so much command, get so much swing and miss, because that's really what this rotation is missing is a guy who can just go out there and have a simple 1, 2, 3 inning. I mean, you'll get that with Mitch. I'm not sitting here panicking about Mitch Keller, but you look at the rest of the guys available, you're just hoping to get through 4 and the game will still be tied. In certain scenarios here. And if you have guys that you can trot out there and rely on them to have 1 or 2 at least very smooth innings as rookies, that's a step in the right direction. I'm not here pounding the table for Skeens or Quinn Priester to be called up just yet, because I think you need to see both of them, A, do it a little bit more before you make that decision. And B, I mean, if you're going to roll with Falter, you got to give him at least, 2 or 3 chances to prove himself before you completely pull the plug on him. So it's an interesting situation that led us to here, but it is funny that the worst looking player on the team so far is a guy who there are numerous people at his same position who mean a lot more to the franchise, both in the present and the long term. But he's sitting there kind of in their spot. So those are our takeaways. Andrew, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
Just curious how stuff like that has a way of coinciding. One guy who's a 5th man in a rotation struggling, the top prospects in AAA doing well. The only other point I'll make is just with Priester, he's an interesting guy to keep monitoring because he's changed up that repertoire so much to match what kind of pitcher he wants to be, whether it's pitch tunneling that curveball off of a four-seamer, whether he's going to be the dink and dunk in various ways with the slider, the cutter. He's an interesting guy to monitor because I think there's still potential there. To say that the jury is out on him, very much still in play. Got to see what you got in him. I think there's still plenty of time. Last year wasn't great, but he's far from a finished product. So,
and I think something that could help him too is the fact that like last year, a lot of the attention was on him. He was like the top young pitcher that everyone looked at in the farm system. It's like he can come up and help now. Where now that's not the case. I mean, there's still attention on him, but people are more focused on Jones and Skeens, and that might take a little weight off his shoulders. But like I totally agree, Andrew. There is still a big role for him to play here. He's not ever going to be, I don't think, the top guy in your starting rotation.
No.
But you need, if he can be like a Kyle Hendricks or something along those lines, just a guy who has good enough stuff to record outs and have a smooth start, that's incredibly valuable as well. So that's all we've got here. Andrew will have you covered in DC for these next, 3 games?
Yeah.
3
games in 4 days.
3 games in 4 days. Yes, and an off day. I will be in Altoona on Tuesday for their media day. We'll have a whole bunch of coverage that you can read at post-gazette.com. And you can check out all of our Pittsburgh sports coverage on the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.